Welcome back to the end of Season 1 of the Madden 06 Rebrand featuring the Norfolk Defenders. We just finished the Super Bowl. We're technically at Pro Bowl week, but we will be moving into the off-season, doing free agency, the draft, all of that fun stuff. Before we do that, I want to go back to the rosters and just kind of give you guys a look at what Norfolk has to offer in terms of their roster and what we may be looking for in the offseason. So first at the quarterback position, Justin Carey actually went up 2 overall, and some of that just is like as you play in Madden 06, your players tend to get awareness just from like completing things on the field. So his awareness attribute actually went up 3 points and brought his overall to an 82. I think we started this season, he was like a 76. So, I mean, it seems like he moved up a lot more than 2, but definitely some good quarterback play there. And Jones played well in the one game that we went with him. But even if we found a quarterback in the draft that was like a viable backup or maybe even might compete with Carey, I would be very happy with that. Running back, we're very set. I'm happy with Michaels. Jones and Williams in the times that they filled in have also done very well. Kozlowski's a 90 overall. He got some attribute points as well. We just need to maybe work with him a little bit on making some catches. Wide receiver, Page and Minter are the 2 main ones, and Brown played well in the slot, but I would definitely love a receiver that could fit into our core here. Maybe even like a number 1 receiver, a tall guy who can really like just make those one-on-one catches. We don't really have that right now. Tight end, Abbott's good. We just need to maybe trust the process a little bit and go with him a bit more. He's only 24 years old. Still plenty of opportunity to improve. Offensive line, we are more than set. We have Pro Bowlers across the board and a really good left guard and center at backup. Left tackle, we have a serviceable backup, but I don't really see any issues there. And honestly, they just continue to grow as they play and get a bunch of blocks and pancakes. Look at those guys all going up like 2 overall over the last season. And then defense, obviously, we have a really strong defense. That's just the core of like what this mode was built on with the rosters that we pick. So Isaac Kent, the rookie, 91 overall at left end, and Ted Haley, 96 at right end. We didn't really see as much with Haley in terms of sacks or anything, but he's been kind of holding down the line on there. And like, you know, you really can't get much better pressure than this, just rushing 4. Defensive tackle, we also have a 90 and an 88. Smith, the 3rd string, is also very good. Linebackers, we didn't really see much of Knight since we play in the nickel a lot as opposed to the 4-3, so he didn't get as much playtime as Connor or Vargas, but he's an 85 overall. Connor went all the way up to a 97. And yeah, the backups on the linebacking core seem pretty strong as well. Cornerbacks, we have 4 of the best in the league, so like even if we call the dime package, that will be more than enough. I mean, our 5th string's at 58, so maybe we can get a guy who is maybe in like the 70 range just in case they get tired. And you get a look at the safeties. I mean, our free safety isn't very good, but consider the fact that we have 2 strong safeties. We move one of them to free safety, and that makes Williams an adequate backup. I'll see if we can get a better kicker. Mansfield actually went down a couple points overall, back down to a 77. You're not going to find too many people who are like in the 80 range for kickers right away, but maybe we could sign another kicker with some big power and see if he can compete with Mansfield, since we really struggle with distance more than anything this year. Punting, I mean, London's young. He's a decent overall. Like, we don't punt the ball a whole heck of a lot, so he was just kind of stagnant in terms of his growth, but he was serviceable. So all things considered, I guess I'd be looking for maybe a backup quarterback, maybe a couple receivers. We could get a 2nd string tight end who might be good at receiving, and then just some holes to fill in terms of like backups. Like we could get that 5th string cornerback, like I said, or maybe if there's like a strong draft in terms of like some guys who could play, you know, in case like the defense gets tired, like that would be fine. So we're not really looking to improve a whole heck of a lot. I'd say like the thing that needs the most help is the wide receiver core. But other than that, our team is pretty solid. So I'm going to go ahead and sim the Pro Bowl game and then move on to the offseason. I believe this is the last step. Advance to owner mode offseason. Yes, not importing any draft class since these are all created players. Aside from the free agents that were left over, I don't really have any control over that. One of the things I forgot to look at is the cap space. I know pretty much everybody has the same player roster for now, and that cap space should be good, but we'll take a look here. There's the balance sheet. So we made $42 million this year. I actually forgot. I think you can like upgrade your stadium and stuff like that with some of the income that you make. So we could improve the facilities. It's only 1 year old though. Let's see, ticket prices, concessions, like all this stuff. Like it just, since we redid all the stadiums and everything, I think is like right where we want it. Fan support is high. Coaching staff, I mean, we have actual real people and they all seem to be fairly good. None of them have retired, so we don't have to sign any coaches. Let's go to the off-season menu, and it will like break down each stage of the off-season so we can kind of get a look one at a time at what we need to complete. I believe first it's like re-signing players, and if you have any players that are like rookies, they have like a special contract before like anybody else has access to them. So first, did anybody retire? Unfortunately, this guy had a career-ending injury, but a lot of the people who retired are actual NFLers, which is great. We have a lot of guys who, you know, will be kind of phased out with more creative players. Otherwise, a lot of the other guys that retired seem to be high age, low overall, so they'll be kind of replaced by a good draft class. Restricted free agents, that was the one I was looking for. We don't have anybody right now. Get a look at that salary cap. So our team salary only accounts for about half of what we're able to purchase at this time, which the more we get into this franchise, year 2 or 3, like the contracts of the players we do have are going to go way up. But we might be able to spend a little bit. I mean, obviously we'll sign some rookies, but we might be able to spend a little bit in case there's any good free agents. But for now, we're going to pass through the restricted free agents and see if anybody needs to re-sign. So here are all the players that do need a contract renegotiated. So we have both of our quarterbacks. I'm going to sign Jones, but I'm probably going to cut Vanelli because we can probably draft a guy who's better than 59. 5 years for $3 million. That's fine with me. I like how once you sign people to it updates, so like it, you know, just it already shows like the people that you need to resign. Oh wow, we have a lot of guys to resign actually. Derek Michaels, he should be our priority. 20 million for 4 years. Let's give him 5. He deserves it. Kent needs to resign. That's another big part. Okay, so I guess I was a little off with like the cap space since we're gonna have to resign a bunch of players here. I'll just have to keep an eye because I know the rookie class will cost anywhere from about like $5 to $10 million. So Damon Connor we have to resign. Let's go 3 years for him. This guy's 32 years old. We'll give him a 2-year contract. I'll sign Brown for another year just because he did so well in the slot, so we'll give him a 1-year contract. Another defensive tackle, that's 10 years pro, so we might have to draft some defensive tackles. They're both performing really well right now, but they are getting old right now. I just realized our 65 overall tight end also got named to the Pro Bowl, so that has to be very blocking heavy. There's no other explanation for it. Lamont, do we want to sign him for 1 more year, or do we take a chance that we have a kick returner? Yeah, he's 28 and only a 69 overall. So, like, although he kick returns, I think there might be some better options out there. We'll sign Kozlowski for another year. Okay, so we're near that $10 million cap room hit now. We still have a few guys to sign. Mickey Cox, he's 12 years pro, still a good overall, but I think I can afford to cut him loose since he is 34 years old. We might have to sign a rookie middle linebacker then, if that's the case. So here are the guys that I might be cutting loose. Actually, I might re-sign Schrader here. So here are the players that I'll be cutting loose. Vanelli, the 3rd-string quarterback, one of our lower centers. Cox is just getting really up there in age. Beasley is the 5th-string corner that I don't want to re-sign because his overall is really low. And then just a couple like role fillers. So like we'll probably have to get a tight end now that I think about it, since we might have, well, let's see how good this guy is at catching and stuff. He's 27, not very, okay, so this guy's more of a blocking tight end, which is probably why he made the Pro Bowl, but we can afford to maybe get some more tight ends that can receive the ball a little bit better. But yeah, a lot of the guys we're cutting loose aren't very good overall, or they are kind of old, so we have just under $8 million in cap room. I guess we don't really have as much work to do in free agency as I thought, but as long as we get a couple good guys in the draft class, that should be well enough for me. I might also see if we have some more backups who are making a lot of money that we don't necessarily need, you know, because if they never see the field and they're still making like $10 million a year, we can afford to cut them loose. So I'll take a look at that, I suppose, maybe see if we can get some draft picks out of some of those players. So the one thing about Madden 06 is they don't really show you much for the draft class until you actually get to the off season. They might have that Pro Bowl game, since I remember that being in the early games, but like we are going in blind. We don't really know what kind of guys there are available in the draft until like literally right now. Could be a great quarterback class, could be absolute trash at that position. Like, you know, sometimes they're really stacked heavy at certain positions, and other times like there just aren't really many good players at all. So here we go into the scouting phase. We do have one first-round projected quarterback. The rest are all in that second to third. We have so many third-round projections here. But we can scout 15 players. Quarterback's definitely one that I'm going to keep my eye on. Let's get a look at the top members of the class. There's 2 wide receivers that are projected to go in the top 5. That's interesting. Then another one in the top 10. 2 in the top 10, actually. So a good wide receiver class. And then there's another one in the first rounds. 2 more in the first 3. So this is a good wide receiver class. We might have lucked out with this. Let's take a look at all the wide receivers here. So we might have some options, like it starts to drop off a little bit once you reach like the first or second round, but we do have a first round pick, albeit late. Maybe we could kind of package a couple together to get one of these guys. So I'm just going to go ahead and scout some of these wide receivers, see if there's somebody that we really want to target. But if not, I'll just also get a few guys in the third round just to see if we can maybe get like a second guy, because we might be looking at 2 wide receivers here, or a kick returner at the very least. Also a lot of tight ends in the second round. Holy moly, there's so many. That's actually the entire class is in the second round. And this is just like the first round of scouting. Like once you pick your 15 players, then they actually start having a little bit more attributes to look at, like their speed, their abilities. So I might wait for the quarterbacks until we reach the point where we see like if we have any like scramblers, or if there's any that maybe have a little bit more pocket presence, since I need to like learn to stay in the pocket somewhat. I was also going to look at the heights of these receivers, see if there's anybody that sticks out. So we have 6'0", 5'11", 6'1". Okay, Hansen and Armstrong are the 2 tall guys, 6'3" and 6'4". We also have Johnson in the first and second round at 6'5", 239. He is a big fella. Because I was looking at seeing like if we can get somebody with some more heights for more of those like one-on-one jump balls, like I said. Get a look at the cornerbacks as well. There's one guy in the top 5, and the rest are all third or fourth round, which is, you know, kind of where I'd be looking at drafting a cornerback anyway for that 5th spot. Doesn't have to be great, but if we can maybe get a guy in the 4th or 5th round as a steal and just kind of keep him as our extra. I'll go over and scout a few of these middle linebackers here too, since we do need a backup now that we cut that kind of older guy loose. So I'll start with middle linebackers and wide receivers. Let's press to advance. Some of their 40 time shuttles. I guess we have the rookie report now we can look at, where it shows like their interview, like their IQ, their strength and speed, and then the scouting report for the most like pertinent information to their position. So let's go to the wide receivers here and get a look. So a lot of them share a fairly similar 40 time. Who were the 2 that I was looking at? Armstrong and Johnson. Okay, so Armstrong has a decent 40 time and a shuttle. Let's get a look at his rookie report here. Average run power, amazing hands. Interview's average, so his awareness is probably going to be a bit average as well. Not a good kick returner, but that's okay. Look at his height and vertical though. 6'4" with a 39 vertical. It says excellent hands with proper arm extension. Pretty interested in that guy. And we get a look at Eugene Johnson, 6'5", 35-inch vertical. So he doesn't have quite the hops that the other guy did. Hands are good, run power below average, but it does say he has arguably the best hands at wide receiver in the draft. Not a good kick returner either. The fastest guy in the draft is Warfield in terms of the 40 time. His shuttle's a bit on the higher side, so let's get a look at him. Average kick return, average interview, above average run power, good hands. This guy might be, you know, a decent option for like a slot receiver, like a second. It says he very rarely gets injured, no worries there. So right now my top guy to go for is actually Armstrong here, but let's get a look at the rest. Speed receiver, but his run power is bad. Below average interview, but his hands are good. I doubt we'll get a lot of these guys in the top 10 also, but I guess we can take a look. So Dwight, 6'1", good hands, good run power, amazing interview, but terrible kick return. Here's Glenn Parker, good hands, below average run power, but a good kick returner. Rutledge is the other top 5 guy, amazing kick return, amazing interview, great hands, just his run power is slightly below average. So that wouldn't be a bad guy to go for. It's just he's rated at top 5, so we'll see if he drops in the draft or not. Vickers in the second or third round, terrible interview, which is not good, but he is a good kick returner. James Adams, great hands, amazing interview. The only guy that's like really leaping out at me right now is Armstrong, I would say. He's like 1 inch shorter, than Johnson, but a lot more lean, and his vertical is amazing. So I think this is the guy that I'm going to go after. Not the kick returner type, but I think this is like a true wide receiver that we'll be wanting. So I'll scout Armstrong one more time, and I think Warfield was the other one for his... Yeah, he was above average in like everything, so... Also 6'2". Let's get a look at the quarterback class here. Nothing impressive with the 40 times aside from maybe Graham. In case we wanted a scrambling quarterback, let's get a look at his rookie report here. Amazing arm strength, terrible pass accuracy, but great interview. So quite honestly, kind of sounds like Justin Carey to some degree. Carey's not the fastest guy, but he's a little bit, nimble on his feet. His accuracy shows some issues. Just the one thing is arm strength. Like we noticed with Jones, the backup quarterback, that he has a lot more arm strength than Carey. I'll scout this guy for the heck of it. Also interested in Owens. Look at that shuttle time compared to the rest of the guys. Get a look at his rookie report. Amazing arm strength, amazing pass accuracy, below average interview, which usually correlates to awareness, but again, they tend to get that as they get playing time. We'll go over to the cornerback class. So Jordan, a bit slower than the rest of the guys. We'll scout Penn and Dotson, Kennedy. Honestly, a lot of these like 4th or 5th round guys, and just see like who sticks out from there. I just realized we have 2 guys named Page. One went to Tennessee, Chattanooga, Barry Page. The other one went to San Diego State, Charles Page. I'll scout this Page, just since his stats were kind of similar to one of the other guys we scouted. Great arm strength and awareness, but not so much the accuracy. We'll move on to the next stage. So let's get an updated look at Armstrong since we have more scouting information. Excellent hands, interview was good, has great acceleration. So all of that leads me to believe this is going to be a good draft pick if we can get our hands on him. I might move up in the 1st round just to see if we can get him. Warfield was the other one we scouted. Let's see, rarely gets injured, interview was good, good hands, and he might be able to kick return. It says average, which a lot of guys are just below average, so even if he's like a 60 or 70 at kick returning, that would be good. I'll scout the same corners I had last time as well, just so we can get an accurate rookie report. And I forgot about the middle linebacker class, so I'll go ahead and just scout some of these guys in the 3rd round. That guy looks good based on his rookie report, as does that guy. This one doesn't leap at me as much as the other 2, but also might be a good rookie to look into. So that is the final round of scouting. Let's get a look at our targets. I didn't look at kickers just because I don't know if I want to waste a draft pick on that with Mansfield. I mean, I want a more powerful kicker, but we might be able to sign one in free agency. Plus, there's a lot of kickers in this draft class. All right, so targets. Actually, we'll go to quarterbacks real quick. So Owens, unbelievable arm. Shows great confidence. May see a small amount of injuries. Page, unbelievable accuracy, spots his targets, fumbles the ball quite a bit. And lastly, Graham doesn't have that 2nd gear to outrun defenders, so they don't make him sound very fast. Has an unbelievable arm. He'll lead the league in quarterback fumbles if he starts. So based on these scouting reports, Owens seems to be the most logical choice. Just says he might be more injury prone than the other guys, but like they don't really say much about his run power, his fumbling issues, anything like that. And like you look at this, strength and accuracy, both amazing. The interview we can work on with the awareness. So I think Owens is our top quarterback. Over at wide receiver, I'm still pretty set on Armstrong and Warfield. Let's get a look at the middle linebackers that we scouted in the 3rd round. Has some good praise for all 3 of the tidbits we got about him. Wesley, yeah, he also has some good praise. It says his awareness is average. Coverage, middle linebacker is what it said. Let's look at the corners. Dion Penn in the 3rd round. Exceptional speed. Breaks on the ball quickly. Good closing quickness. Very remarkable strides based on his craft. I'm not sure what that's alluding to in terms of an attribute, but I mean, it's still praise. Damon Dotson. Exceptional speed, good coverage cornerback. That might be good for the dime package. Shows good timing going for the ball. Leaps well, 37-inch vertical for a 5'8" guy. So we have a few corner options right now. Smooth in his back pedal. Called one of the fastest athletes in college football. So another good coverage corner option. Average injury prevention, smooth back pedal, speed, okay. Balance corner, initiates contact rather than waiting for the play. See some injuries, decent speed for a corner, don't line him up against Moss. So Cohen's like the one guy that it's just like, maybe not with that one. Duplessis, leadership abilities, that's a cool one to see. Probably just based on the interview. Smooth back pedal, good timing for the ball. Yeah, we have a lot of corner options. I don't even really need to look at some of these other guys. I mean, really it was just Cohen, I think, who was one that we didn't want to go after. But we do have a lot of corner options late in the draft if one of these guys tends to fall. So I think we kept all of our draft picks, but my main two guys that I want to go for are Owens and then the two wide receivers, namely Armstrong. So here we are for the NFL draft. I want to see if we kept all of our picks. I believe we did, but just to make sure, let's go to our draft picks. Yes, so we do have all of our picks. I forget how the trade logic works in this game, but what I might want to do is just trade my first round pick and maybe one of my other picks to move up to like the middle range of the first round, since there's like a really high wide receiver class. There's 4 guys that are in the top 10 that I'm not too worried about. So we might be able to get Armstrong in the middle of the first round. Then we can keep our second round pick or maybe move up a little bit in the second round to get the quarterback we want, keep the rest of the picks for those corners and see if one of those guys falls. Cycling through my trade bait too, I really don't have much aside from like my defensive tackles that even puts the value up from an F. So like we could trade one of our defensive tackles since they are getting up there in age. But other than that, I don't really have much to offer these teams in terms of collateral that's not a draft pick. So I guess the question is, how bad do we want to move up for one of these wide receivers, or do we just take our chances and see if they come to us? There is 2 receivers that I'd be okay with more than anything, and then like the quarterback. I really want Armstrong if I can, just with his tallness and vertical, but I don't want to give up my entire draft picks just to move up like 10 spots. I mean, even if I tried offering these guys a first and a second round pick to move up 13 spots, I'll just see if the 25th and the 19th picks tend to have, I mean, these are both C pluses. When does it go from a C plus down is the thing. So like the Storm have the 25th pick. Maybe if we go up to 22, that's a C plus. Who has pick number 20? The Dynamo have 20, and that's a B, so 21 maybe? All right, so pick number 22 is where they actually go straight from a B down to a C plus. So like we might be able to move up 10 spots for practically nothing. Let's see if they just take my 7th or 6th round pick, or maybe both. So they wanted a little extra value. Well, even then I might have to give up something. Let's go to like 24, or back to 25. Yeah, so even then I'd have to move up 7 or 6 spots by giving up my 3rd and my 4th at a minimum. I mean, this could be an acceptable trade. Move up 7 spots and then trade a 2nd for a 3rd rounder. Maybe can we steal their 4th too? Or is that asking too much? They take a 7th, a 6th, a 6th. So my biggest question is, we want to go after one of the wide receivers, but is it worth trading away our 2nd round pick and maybe losing a shot at one of those quarterbacks, or the quarterback that we were most interested in? I'd say yes. I mean, Jones handled himself, and as much as I'd like a viable backup, like there's still going to be some quarterbacks available. You know, wide receivers are our biggest need. Like we need like a playmaking wide receiver. All right, I might do this trade and see what happens. Just move up a little bit in the draft. So pick number 25, which wide receivers are available? We still got Johnson, but all of the other wide receivers were picked. Oh no. Well, he's not gonna outrun anybody, but he is the tall guy we were looking for, 6'5". I want to see where Armstrong ended up going as we look through the bottom scroll here. I actually did not see Armstrong, so he might have gone like top 10 for all I know, since I didn't really catch the scrolling thing until it was at like pick 12. Let's get a look here at the first round again. So first it was Rutledge, wide receiver. Okay, Armstrong actually did go right at the 12th spot to Brooklyn. I guess we'll pick Johnson, see where that leads us, and go to the 3rd round, look at the quarterback class from there, pick some middle linebackers and corners in the final round. I do feel better about moving up though, because if Armstrong was like the only wide receiver from the first round still there. So let's see. Curtis was one of the guys we were looking at, I think. No? Does it not tell me who my targets were anymore? Scouted. Oh, so I guess all the quarterbacks that are left, we did not scout. See, it says bad, terrible. This guy looks pretty good. Amazing, average, great. Yeah, I'm just going to go with Easley then. The crowd did not react very well from the from the thing I just heard. We still got a middle linebacker in the 3rd round at pick number 32. And from here we have all of our corners. So it's a matter of who do we want the most. Dodson's the highest rated in terms of where they're supposed to go in the draft. Good, good, and great, but terrible kick return. Good, average, average. Good, good, amazing. I'm kind of between Duplessis and Dodson at this point. Dodson seems more well-rounded, but like this guy has a lot more. Let's see, good, good, amazing. 443 time. So like the main difference is just Dodson would be a little bit faster. He's also shorter. Let's see what their verticals are. 36, 37. Coverage, corner. Let me see what else we need to for like the breakdown. Let's see if there's anything else that we're missing. Oh, we do need a tight end. Let's get a look at the tight ends since they were all, oh, they're all gone now. Okay. All the kickers got drafted too, except for the guys who were set to go undrafted. So, wow. I guess everybody was looking for the same thing as we are, which makes a whole lot more sense now that I think about it. It did say we needed a safety too, which all the free safeties are gone. Jesus Christ. I guess we could just draft a couple corners and then convert them to safeties. So I'll start with Dodson, see if Duplessis is still there in the 5th round. More than likely. I mean, if everybody's defense heavy, I'm not sure how much they're going to go after the corners. And no, he was taken. Okay. Well, we got one of the two guys. Ernie O'Neal actually seems pretty good too, so I'll draft him. We have 2 picks remaining, including Mr. Irrelevant. What else do we need for the breakdown? Tackle, defensive end. Maybe defensive tackle since our guys are retiring. Amazing tackling, but terrible interview for that guy. Great and great. Oh, I should look at their bench press reps too. 28, 27. I'll come back to that. Defensive end, we have one guy who was supposed to go left. Only 18 bench press reps though. That's kind of concerning. I guess I'll go with one of these tackles and then see who else is left with the last pick of the draft. So available, we have a strong safety in the 7th round, a couple strong safeties. The rest are meant to be undrafted. We do need to convert somebody to a free safety though. Amazing tackling, above average hands, amazing below average. This guy has a faster 40 time and an insane vertical. Look at that, 39 inches. I'm gonna draft him. All right, so now we get a look at the ratings for our draft picks. We're not gonna know until we actually do sign them. So first, starting with Eugene Johnson. Sign him for 4 years, 77, okay. Daryl Easley, the quarterback, 79. Oh wow, he might actually fight Carey for that starting spot. We are actually running out of cap space here, so we have 4 picks left and less than $2 million in cap room. We'll sign Dodson though, since he was our 4th round pick. No, we aren't going to be able to sign him. Actually, if we mark up the signing bonus, do I want to sign him for 7 years though? Man, see what they gave the draft grade. A for everybody. And a C- for us. They say Dodson's our best pick though, so we should sign him. I suppose I can't trade anybody right now, or is it from the roster screen? Okay, I can't trade players. First of all, we need a tackle, so we're going to move this right guard over to right tackle so we have all of our holes filled over there. You know, I guess I really didn't need a middle linebacker now that I think about it, so we could trade McKinney. He's 10 years pro. See if anybody wants him. Bats need a middle linebacker. They only have one, although they might have drafted a guy. Get any draft stuff out of him though, so I might just have to release him. Other than that, we have all of our bases. Like, we really can't afford to cut or trade anybody since we have all of our positions filled. But it did say Dodson was our best draft pick, so we need to sign him. After that, I guess we don't really need too much else. We did need a safety, so I guess I'll sign Webb. Dodson's an 80 though, wow. Yeah, we'll sign Webb and then move him to free safety, 77. Can we sign Ty Ham at defensive tackle and then maybe trade one of our other guys? Be a 6-year contract. I'm gonna say no. Well, we are going to be strapped for cap space, and I guess I should have considered that while I was signing all of those contracts to begin the offseason. But luckily, we do have enough people to field a team. I'm just going to go ahead and skip through the free agent signing, except for I think we need a tight end. We need a tight end and a defensive end are the two. We also need a free safety, so I'm going to move our newly acquired strong safety over there. Or actually, Cleveland was free safety, so I'm going to move him over there. That's where he played last season. He didn't even really move any overall. So look at our corners, though. Wow, that is amazing. And Glenn wow, he's only making $700K this year. Meanwhile, our rookie is making over $2 million. That's insane. Yeah, we might have to see if we can trade one of our defensive tackles here soon. They're making about $4 or $5 million a year, and they're both 10 years pro, 32 years old. Still somewhat in their prime, but that's going to drop off fast. So we need a tight end and a defensive end. Actually, we might be able to sign Nelson back, the Pro Bowler. We do have the cap space for it. Just give him a bigger signing bonus so we have a little bit of cap space. And go over to defensive end. This guy's a rookie. Well, if we sign this guy to a 7-year contract with a adequate signing bonus, we'll have exactly $10K in cap room, and that will fulfill all of our roster minimum requirements. Let's go ahead and move a day. Let's see, we did sign the tight ends. Oh, our offer actually went over because we signed the tight end. All right, well, we got our tight end. And we're just going to have to go through the rest of free agency for now. Well, I'm glad we got the Pro Bowler first. But geez, this cap space thing is actually a lot more of a problem than I thought. All right, we are past free agent signings, so we're just going to reorder the depth charts here. That one's always just been a quick one. You just press a button, does it for you. We can probably set what we want manually from there, but I pretty much trust the automatic system to do the right thing. So we are still short a defensive end. I mean, looking at the breakdown, the only things that we could curb are wide receivers or corners, which the cornerback core that we have, including the guy we just drafted, is the strongest wide receivers. I guess there is one guy I could probably consider cutting to get a defensive end. But this is going to be problematic for next year since we have one of our best corners set to go to free agency next year with only $700K on his deal this year. And he's going to be making millions once that contract is up. So the one guy I could probably cut or trade is Stevens, who I don't even know if he saw the field last year, to be honest. We do have Brown as well. I liked Brown. He's not the fastest guy. He's actually one of the older guys on the roster too, but he just seemed to be very good across the middle. Johnson's actually our fastest receiver and the tallest. So like he is going to be an absolute menace in the slot until he works his way up to the 1 or 2 spot overall. Well, I was kind of looking around, and we can actually get a 6th round pick out of Stevens, the extra wide receiver. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that, open up some cap space, and hopefully we can sign that left end that we need. Yes, indeed, we can sign him for a 4-year contract and still have $300K in cap space. So that is what we're going to have to work with here as we move into season number 2. Let's get a look one more time at the final roster. So we have Justin Carey with Daryl Easley as the backup. And this might be a quarterback competition for all we know. Carey's a little bit faster in terms of speed, more strength. His awareness is way higher, which means if Easley even gets some playing time and his awareness goes up, like he might overtake Carey pretty well. So Carey is better on the grounds, but we get a look here. Throw power, throw accuracy. Easley has him beat in throw power by 10 points, accuracy by 4. And like I said, the main thing holding him back right now is awareness, and he's a rookie. If he gets playing time, he will maybe go up to like an 85, 88 overall, somewhere in there. I don't know. I might have to consider. I know we just won a title with Carey, but Easley's looking like a good option, especially for a backup. Like we have that backup position solidified, and I was even happy with Jones. At running back, we re-signed Michaels to a new 5-year deal. He's going to be on the team for a good long time. Wide receiver position, we only have 4 now, since we traded our other guy away, but these are the 3 guys I went with a lot last year, plus Eugene Johnson, the new 6'5" speedy, well, speedy is relative to the team, but speedy receiver. I can't wait to throw him the ball. Got Abbott back at tight ends. We have a lot of like good players on our offensive line too that we might be able to shed loose. I mean, this guy is effectively a backup, and he's making close to $5 million a year. Kent and Haley on the defensive end side, they were locking it down. Tackles, we're probably going to have to go younger here in a little bit. Linebacking core is solid. Corners are insanely good, but again, the main issue is re-signing Glenn next offseason. Maybe we might be able to let him go in favor of these 4 guys here. So we'll have some decisions to make there. Safeties, we moved Cleveland over to free safety, and both of the backups are 77 overall. Cleveland only has 1 more year left on his contract as well, but is only making $2 million a year. Mansfield is still the kicker. I'm going to get a look at his kick power, which is 86. I looked at the guys in free agency, and all of them top out at 87, so really no change there. And London as the punter. I did want to see who was the kick returner now that Lamont is gone. So our 2 options are Adam Burton, one of our corners, and Minter, the wide receiver. Burton being the first choice, which I'm a little bit more okay with since we have 5 corners and 4 receivers. I mean, especially when you take a kick return, the wide receivers are going to be on offense like right afterwards. And if we have 5 corners, if we need to change one of them out due to tiredness with our 5th string guy who is still an 80 overall, that might be the smarter play. And I'm still kind of deciding if I want Johnson in the slot or if I just want to move him up here and maybe put Page or Minter in the slot. We'll see how the first weeks of the next regular season shape out first. We also have training camp, so we can get a look at Johnson in action here. But that's the biggest 2 things, the biggest 2 changes, I suppose, for this offseason is now we have a viable backup quarterback and potentially a quarterback battle. And then we have a big new wide receiver on the block. Pretty much everything else is almost exactly the same. For those of you wondering where Armstrong went, since I was pretty high on him, he went to the Brooklyn Bulls. There's a look at his attributes, a 78 overall. So we didn't really miss out on too much. Obviously, his jumping ability is a little bit better than the receiver we got, but their speeds are about the same, and their overalls are about the same. So all things considered, I'm glad I got one of the receivers that I did. But that is where I'll leave you, and again, I'm still kind of undecided on when I'll start Season 2 of this franchise, but when we do, we will go straight into training camp, and then into Week 1 of the regular season. Those will be the first 2 videos. But I very much appreciate you guys for sticking with me this entire first season. This is the first time I've played Madden in a very long time, and I went to the Madden that I loved and cherished the most as a kid. It's been really fun getting back into Madden, especially the older Maddens. And, oh, before I forget, move the skill level up to All Madden. That is going to be the biggest change for Season 2. We are moving to All Madden. Once we shook the rust off, we went on a pretty lofty winning streak, and I want the games to be a lot more competitive and strategic in terms of the stuff that I do. I do want to take more shots with my wide receivers, which I didn't really do as much last year. But I do want the games to be a little bit more competitive. It started getting to that point where they were becoming less and less competitive the more used to the game I got. But I won't keep you any longer. We'll be starting Season 2, like I said, hopefully soon. But that is the end of the off-season of Season 1. Were you guys excited for this year's draft class? Was there anybody that you thought I should have gone after that I might have missed? Let me know in the comments. Be happy to hear it. But yes, that'll do it for this episode. Thank you again for watching Season 1. My name is Kasabe, and we will see you back soon for Season 2.